In the movie Unknown, Dr. Martin wakes up from a coma after an accident. Confused, he finds that no one recognizes him, not even his wife. While searching for his true identity, another man claims to be the real Martin. Keep watching to know what happened next. This is the story of Dr. Martin, who was not recognized by anyone after the accident. Nobody knew who he was. Worried about this, Dr. Martin decided to find out why it happened. The story started on a plane where Dr. Martin traveled with his wife Liz. They were going to Berlin. After some time, their flight landed in Berlin. Once they checked out, they got into a taxi. In a rush, Martin forgot his bag in the taxi. When they arrived at the hotel, Martin realized he did not have his bag and started searching for it everywhere. While his wife went to the hotel reception to ask about their room, she found out that there was no room booked in her name. Seeing this, Liz felt confused and got angry. When she looked at Martin, she noticed he was sitting in the taxi and going somewhere. She did not know that Martin was going back to find his bag. Martin wanted his bag, so he left without telling his wife. Because there was no phone signal, he could not call Liz. She did not understand why Martin did this. The taxi driver saw a long traffic jam. Out of fear of getting stuck, she took a shortcut to quickly take Martin to the airport. Suddenly, their car got into an accident and fell into the river below the bridge. The driver quickly broke the car's glass and pulled Martin out, but he was hurt badly. After hearing about the accident, a medical team came and took Martin away. While the taxi driver left, Martin was taken to the hospital, where he woke up after 4 days. The doctors told him that he had been in a coma for the past 4 days. Martin was very surprised. He started looking for his wife. Then he asked the doctor if his wife had come to see him. The doctor said they did not know he had a wife. They also did not know his name because they had not received any ID from him. No one came to look for him, so they thought he did not have anyone. Saying this, they gave Martin his things. Martin looked at his watch and remembered that Liz had given it to him as a gift. Then he looked at his father's diary, which had phrases his dad always used to say, and some numbers. Then Martin turned on the TV. He saw information about a conference. He remembered that he was supposed to attend this important conference. Now he needed to go there. So he started to leave, but the doctor told him that he was not well yet. He needed to rest and should not go, but Martin refused. The doctor gave Martin his number and said that if he had any problems, he could contact him. Then Martin left the doctor's office and went to the hotel. At the reception, he told them he had lost the keys to his room. While he was there, he saw Liz. He tried to approach her, but the guard stopped him. The guard asked Martin for his ID. Martin replied that he did not have an ID, but that the girl was his wife. The guard took him to Liz, but when he got there, she refused to recognize him. When Martin insisted, she called another man over who claimed, "I am the real Martin Harris." Martin was completely shocked. He did not understand what was happening or what he should do next. The manager took him aside and showed him the CCTV footage to help clear things up. The video revealed that Liz had come there alone, followed by the other man, who insisted he was the real Martin Harris. The manager said he did not know anything about the situation and advised Martin to go to the embassy. However, Martin learned that due to a festival, the embassy would be closed for the next few days, which disappointed him. He left the hotel and went to a small place, but he could not get a room because he did not have a passport. Martin called his friend and told him everything that was happening. While he spoke, he noticed a car following him since morning. Feeling scared, he quickly entered the metro and sat down. He started writing everything he remembered in his diary. When he got off at the station, he saw the taxi in which he had the accident. He rushed over to the taxi driver and asked about it. The driver said the taxi was driven by a girl named Gina, who worked in a bar. Martin went to the bar, but when he found Gina, she told him she did not want to talk to him and asked him to leave. Martin tried to talk to her, but when she ignored him, he went to the hospital to meet the professor. There, he saw the other Martin standing with the professor. This made him very angry. He shouted at both of them, asking if they were conspiring against him. The second Martin got angry too and insisted, "You are talking nonsense. I am the real Martin Harris." Both of them started to tell the professor about themselves. Their stories were the same, and there was no difference between them. The second Martin then took out his wallet and showed his ID card, which had a picture of Liz with him. Seeing this, The lost Martin immediately remembered that he also had the same picture with Liz. He was confused and wondered how this man appeared in his life instead of him. He could not handle all this and fell unconscious. When Martin woke up, he found a nurse in front of him. She gave him a detective's number and said that he could help him. The doctor told Martin that he was still mentally unwell and needed rest. He said he should not have gone out that day. Martin replied that if he was not Martin, how could he remember everything about Martin? He insisted that something was seriously wrong, and no one seemed to know about it. The doctor said they would run some more tests, and Martin was taken for an MRI. Before the test started, an unknown man arrived, the same man Martin had seen at the station. The man tried to take Martin away, and when the nurse tried to stop him, he hit her. This scared Martin, so he quickly ran away. He came out and sat in an ambulance, which took him to a safe place. Martin first called Liz, hoping to talk to her and explain everything. But the second Martin answered the phone, which worried him, so he hung up. Then he remembered the nurse had given him a detective's number. So Martin hurried to meet the detective. He told the detective everything and asked for help to prove his identity to the world. He gave the detective his diary, which had words and numbers written by his father. The detective asked, "Who was the last person you spoke to?" Martin replied that he had talked to the taxi driver. The detective said Martin should talk to the taxi driver again because hearing her story could provide answers. So, Martin collected his money and belongings and went to find Gina. He asked her to speak to the detective just once, explaining that it would help him. He did not understand why she ran away when she was a legal worker and not doing anything illegal. While Martin was talking, the detective was calling someone at the airport to get information. He had received news about a murder conspiracy. It turned out that the conspiracy was against an Arab prince who had recently been attacked, which meant someone wanted to kill him. Martin gave Gina his watch and asked her to talk just once. She agreed and went home with him. At home, Gina explained that she was not a legal worker and did not have any papers. She worked hard day and night to save money so she could get her papers and leave as soon as possible. While Martin was in the bathroom, someone knocked on Gina's door. When she opened it, some people forced their way in. They attacked Gina, and one man grabbed her while another began looking for Martin to kill him. However, Martin, who knew they were coming, escaped through the window. The man looked for Martin outside but did not find him and went back inside. Just when they were about to hurt Gina, Martin returned and attacked both men. He fought one of them, while Gina used an injection to stab the other man in the neck, giving them a chance to escape. They ran outside, found a car, and drove away, but the attackers followed them in another car. The chase continued for a while until their car almost hit a train. To escape, both cars crashed, but Martin and Gina managed to get away. They ran straight to a club, where Gina got angry with Martin. She accused him of being a murderer, saying people like him were only murderers. She felt her life was ruined for being with him and stormed off. Afterward, Martin looked again at the numbers in his diary, trying to understand them. He realized these numbers formed a code. When he decoded it, the numbers turned into 2 scientific names. Martin took these names to the detective and said he only had these 2 names and nothing else. The detective asked what Martin knew about the prince. They learned there would be a meeting about famine and poverty in the world, which the prince would attend. Someone was using Martin's name to get close to the prince and would kill him when the opportunity arose. Knowing this, Martin started to plan. He took Gina with him and said he wanted to follow Liz because he believed she knew something and was going to the exhibition. He dropped Gina off outside the exhibition building and went inside to follow Liz. Another Martin also arrived at the exhibition, so Gina called Martin to warn him to stay alert. Martin got close to Liz and asked why she was following him. She replied that if she did not do this, they would both be killed. She told him to find his lost briefcase if he wanted answers. After that, she left. Gina arrived soon after, and they both left the exhibition together. Later, the detective received an email with a photo showing Martin and Liz at the airport together. He realized that this meant Martin was telling the truth and that a big conspiracy was happening. Then, the detective received a call from Martin's friend, who wanted to talk about Martin. He said he would prove his identity and asked where they could meet. The detective invited him to his house, but soon figured out that Martin's friend was a murderer. He decided to mix poison into his tea to avoid dying at the hands of the killer. Meanwhile, Martin went to the airport with Gina, where he found his lost briefcase, his passport, and a lot of money. Gina said the place was not safe and suggested they leave, but Martin refused, saying that Liz told him to wait there. He gave Gina a lot of money and told her to go. She took the money and left. At that moment, Martin's friend approached him and said he had come to help and would fix everything. While Gina was waiting for a taxi, she noticed some people forcing Martin to go with them. She quickly took a taxi and followed Martin's car. Martin's friend brought him to a lonely spot and started hitting him. He said everything had been perfect before. Martin always did his job well, but this time he messed up. Then he told Martin he was not Martin Harris. He claimed he planned everything and made Martin who he was, but that Martin had ruined everything. He prepared to kill Martin. Martin then asked, "Who am I?" The friend replied that Martin was a professional killer whose job was to kill people. He said Martin came to kill the prince, but now he would die instead. He ordered his companion to kill Martin. Just then, Gina arrived and pushed the man, hitting his car. The car exploded, killing everyone, including Martin's friend. Martin searched his friend's bag and found many passports with different names, confirming that he was indeed a killer, and that tonight they were going to kill the prince. He knew he had to stop them. The prince arrived at the meeting with the professor, and Liz was getting ready as well. She welcomed the prince. Martin and Gina tried to enter through the back door, but security caught them. Martin warned them to evacuate because he had planted a bomb 3 months ago, and he planned to detonate it that day. They checked the footage from 3 months earlier and saw that Martin was telling the truth. 3 months ago, Martin and Liz had planted a bomb, and now, Liz turned on the bomb's countdown. The hotel staff found out and began evacuating everyone, including the prince. Realizing there was no point in blowing up the bomb now, Liz went to deactivate it. Then, Martin saw the professor, who had come with his 2 daughters. Martin learned the girls' names matched the scientific names he decoded from his diary. He realized their target was not the prince, but the professor, as they wanted to steal his important research that could solve major global problems. If that research fell into the wrong hands, it could cause huge issues. Martin rushed to save the professor. At that moment, the other Martin appeared to kill the professor. They faced each other and got into a fierce fight. Meanwhile, Liz reached the bomb, but before she could deactivate it, it exploded, killing her. Martin defeated the other Martin, and Gina escaped with him. Sadly, Liz was the only one who died, but the professor and the others were safe. The professor quickly ended his conference and announced a new crop that would be so abundant it could eliminate poverty and hunger worldwide. This news made everyone very happy. Martin gave Gina a fake passport and a new identity. After that, they set off on their new journey together, deciding to stay together.